have also the ability to accept it by that. Which means my behavior was, I'm not here to show you who I am. I'm here to listen. This is what I do. How can you improve what I do so that my students will become much better knowledgeable and meet your needs? One thing led to the other, and industry became our advocates. It took time for industry to trust the way we approach them. Example. There's a company called Calumet Lubricants. They make gasoline. Have you used W40? Yeah, they make that. Okay? Have you used Vaseline before? They make that too. So, they ask, we need, and this is what you need to please pay attention to that. They said, we need you to train our operators, the people who operate the plant. What can you do? So I went in with examples. When you go to industry has no idea what you can do, nor I have any idea what they do. So this is the examples. Booklets. He said, John, I said, don't call me Dr. John, please. John, I will take them home on Friday, and I'll let you know Monday. I got a call on the weekend. Monday at 7 a.m. we would like you to start training. So I spent the time in my office making copies for 9 operators. A response to industry. Okay? Every booklet was about 30 pages. You can understand. Saturday, Sunday. Monday we were there. Now, at the end of the training, it was 3 weeks operators, 1 week operations, 1 electrical mechanical instrumentation operations, and 1 week safety, with certifications from IULB, the National Uniform Licensed Power Engineers. At the end of 3 trainings, Jason Fraser, the training manager of Calumet Lubricants, in coordination with the plant manager, James Duncan, the safety manager, check yield, said the following to me, quote, John, the training that you provided us changed the culture of our company, end of quote. I said, whoa, Jason, take it easy, man, that's too heavy. John, the training that you provided us changed the culture of our company. So can I use your name? And sure, quote me. I'm quoting him now to you. Company now, Calumet became our advocates to other refineries in the area. But you need to knock the door with a proper attitude that you're able to deliver. Not the way we do things. What is it I can do for you? Next question. Did I answer your question? If I didn't answer, tell me you didn't answer.
No, it's okay. You answered it, meaning it was kind of demand-driven, but also represented.
Oh, the demand is high. As I said before, remember what I said, 1 engineer, how many technicians? 7. We're producing about 400 technicians a year at colleges, in Texas, and we're producing about 300-400 engineers. If you multiply 300-400 by 7, you can understand. You can do the math. The demand is high. Yes.
Yeah. There is somewhere where you mentioned about the funding. Just who funds these?
All?
Who funds these skills development initiatives in this process? And my main interest is, do employers or industry participate in funding? And if so, 100% or certain percentage comes from other sources?
Industry comes to us and we go to them, we have meetings. And they tell us what they need and we deliver. and they say, okay, that's what it is, but you make these changes. Come back again. We deliver. We serve on industry committees. I serve on industry committees. I'm an education institution, but I serve on industry committees. They serve my industry committees as well. Program industry advisory committees. I served before. Nothing, but absolutely nothing moves if you don't have the minutes of industry attached to your application that approve what you're moving forward in the state of Texas, state of Louisiana. Absolutely nothing. Further, the National Science Foundation in 1998, we're thinking about funding or not, should we or should we not? And National Center of Excellence, which is very important in process technology, process operations. National Center of Excellence, $1.5 million. They were thinking, should we fund or not? When they were in the meeting, in the room, with industry and us, God, that was embarrassing. Get goosebumps in that. Industry told the National Science Foundation, if you don't fund this project, please leave the room now. But now, if you don't want to fund it, leave the room. We have things to do. We have business to discuss with the education institution. They left the room and came back right away. About 5 minutes, said these people are not joking around. We will fund it. Thank you. Now you can sit in the room, and then we can move forward. You have to be bold sometimes. However, you have to be bold when you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, then you're small iota, don't even think about it. And people can see your confidence so you know what you're doing. Am I answering the question?
This is very interesting for me. Maybe lastly, in Ugandan context, we have a system where someone goes through the processes of education until the university and come up with a degree before he looks for the job.
No.
Now, in the training process of this model, do you focus at someone who has come to the institution train, or you only look at upskilling those who are already in the level?
We have a demand right there. I have industry coming to me and said, I want some. I tell you right now, in the city of Shreveport, the Manufacturing Managers Council, there are 3 institutions that serve there. It's myself, I'm at Southern University, Northwest Louisiana Technical Community College, and Bossier Paris Community College, BIPSI. All of them are managers. They have their own business. Right now, they're looking for 502 technicians, manufacturing technicians. And what they're saying, help us. Yes, sir. Hi, sir. We will help you. The question is, what can you do for us? So, we have the Direct Energy Scholarship, the Shreveport Scholarships, the Halliburton Scholarships, the Chevron Scholarships, the Citgo Scholarships, the Shell Scholarship, and the local manufacturer scholarships. It is always vested interest partnership with mutual benefits. I invest, they have benefits, I have benefits. Move forward. Their benefits and my benefits are not the same. That's fine, but they're benefits. So the community gets benefited, the students, and many times our students have jobs before they graduate. Okay? Remember, employment is not guaranteed. Nobody guarantees you employment. But if you have these skills and competencies, you will be first in line to be interviewed. Now, if you screw up at the interview time, it's not their fault. It's your fault. You need to go back and improve your communication skills. Am I correct to say? Am I answering your questions? All right. So I'll be happy to share more practices. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Can we take maybe 2 more questions before we go to the next session?
Yes.
I'll take one at the back. Do we have any ladies in the room? Any ladies with a question? Yeah, we're getting to you. I just need to get the second question. Any lady with a question? No? Okay.
No, I think I'm loud enough. appreciate the fact that you guys are doing well and also trying to bring some of this to us, but I would recommend more if you can work with this youth incredible and all those organizations, see that maybe you can have exchange programs. I think we can benefit from that. Otherwise, we can't begin from scratch. You find that in our country, in most cases I've seen what we've been doing, so production, we have very good brains here by the fact is the resources.
Remember I said nobody can doubt the capabilities earlier. Did I say that?
The resources. So what I would do is not a question, but just a more of try to encourage you so that you collaborate more with us. Do more of exchange programs. Maybe those students come here, and then we go get students from here, go there, so that they can learn. Because I know University of Design is a serious university in that technical area. So maybe we can learn a lot and possibly bring it back here.
It's
Yeah.
remember, see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's also we have innovations. We make the first step.
Yeah.
What do we do? Measure results. Is it working? Yes. Celebrate the people who were part of it.
Yeah.
Talk about it. The next step. Build on that foundation. Is it good? No. Change it. Okay. Change it. Is it good? Excellent. The next thing. And the next thing. And the next thing. We build foundations of excellence. And I'll be happy to at least work, participate, collaborate, moving forward.
So we should also be up in the next 3 or 4 years so that this brick is now has matured to be a building.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't, it's not its own money. Only if we don't want to. If we don't want to, okay, I don't want to. Can you medical people when they don't want to get medical? Well, sometimes you can. But you understand. All right.
It's good presentation.
Thank you. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. A big round of applause to Dr. John Menendez. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I would like to invite our panelists to please take up the stage. Let's have Dan Okanya. Please make your way to the stage. Let's have Francis Mulega. Nambi Susan is already out there. And the Vice Chancellor, K. Matthew. All right. Let's see. All right. I hope you all had a wonderful lunch. So my name is Francis Eki, and I work with the U.S. Embassy as the American Spaces Specialist, overseeing our American Spaces programs. So the American Spaces, just for information, are spaces that connect Ugandans to the United States. We have 2 American spaces in Uganda. One is the American Center Kampala, which is located in Kabalagala on Embassy Plaza on the 5th floor. But our second American space is the Nile Explorer bus. And the Nile Explorer bus is a technologically equipped bus that travels across the country to secondary schools, equipping students with science, technology, engineering, and math skills, civic engagement, health, especially around HIV/AIDS prevention and sexual gender-based violence, and also connecting them to U.S. culture and values through connections with exchange program alumni. So these are people who have gone to the United States on exchange programs and several other programming that we do on the bus. So this afternoon, I am privileged. I and honored to moderate a discussion with a very distinguished panel that will build on the conversation that we've been having throughout the day, which is around developing the workforce of Uganda. But our focus for this session is really around the next generation. What are some of the issues that we need to focus on when it comes to leadership development, when it comes to skills development? The approach I'd like to take is three-pronged. I would like to look at the education component. I would also like to look at the entrepreneurship component, but also look at employability. So these three factors. Earlier today I had speakers talk about the lack of jobs, but also the idea that jobs can be created. So we will have a deep discussion with our panelists on these three areas: entrepreneurship, employment, and education. On the panel today, we've got Francis. When I introduce you, please just wave. We've got Francis Bulega. And Francis Bulega works with USAID, the United States Agency for International Development, and he's the project management specialist focused on youth in the Education, Youth, and Child Development Unit. Next to Francis Bulega is Professor K. Matthew, who is the Vice Chancellor of the International Business and Science and Technology University, ISBAT University. Next to him is Dan Okanya, who is the Head of Policy and Research at the Federation for Uganda Employers. And then, last but certainly not least, we've got Nambi Susan, who is an administrator and chapter launch and training business at the Business Networks International Uganda. All right, so I'll kick us off. So to start this conversation, I'd like to ask our panelists to first of all introduce themselves a little bit more, tell us what you do and what your organization does and any other necessary detail. And then answer the first question. Our first question is, how have the skills required for effective leadership changed in recent years, and why? And as you answer that, you also tell us, what do you think are the core skills that are needed, especially when it comes to effective leadership, if being an effective employee? What are those core skills that you think are needed? But also, what has changed in terms of those kinds of skills in the last few years? So we'll start with Francis. Your introduction and then an answer to this question.
Thank you very much, Francis. I am Francis Bulega. We sit in the same space with Francis. I work for the United States Agency for International Development. I am a project management specialist for youth, and I sit within the Education, Youth, and Child Development Office. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, we are all familiar with the term USAID, and it is one of the leading donors and funders for development work in this country. And our work moves in a span of health, in education, in human rights, in democracy, in governance, in humanitarian assistance and transition. We make sure that we create an enabling environment for Ugandan population and for us as Ugandans to be productive citizens, and in return, it contributes to human capital development. I am very privileged to be part of this discussion, and surely I underscore all discussions that happen in the morning. To go straight to the question from the moderator, we can all agree that we can never be the same each day that passes, even if you don't look at the generation. But the most challenging aspect that happened to us of recent, that made us to get realized that we are in the age of technology, is the COVID-19 pandemic. Through that, we happen to see a lot of things changing. Dr. John has been giving us global kind of perspective, and this is how we should be able to focus as future leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, Francis. Very good afternoon to all of you. I am Professor K. Matthew, Vice Chancellor, ISBAT University, in this thing, I want to speak about academia and academia-industry relations, also the academic leadership. As my previous speaker has said, the pandemic situation has brought certain experiences, lesson to us. When in Uganda, I think it was on 20th March 2020, when the entire educational institution was closed due to the pandemic situation by a presidential order, we transformed, we even stressed for the digitalization of higher education. We have converted all our lecture, notes, videos, everything, and we have transferred that to the students. And the students sitting anywhere in the world could approach to our study materials anytime, 24/7. And our academic progression continued without any interruption. Based on that, we made further modification and we have changed our pedagogy in such a way that nowadays it is not necessary come to the classroom from 9 to 5. With the modern technology, and our university is known for our technological advancement and with internationally experienced faculties. Now the students need not to grab things. Students, we encourage them to study before coming to the classrooms. They have everything in their portal. The lecture notes, videos, then they interact with the faculties. They also interact with the students, peer students. Then they come to the classrooms and seek clarifications. They start discussing. Our aim is to have a creative thinking in the student's mind. So, it is not the conventional teaching. So, our aim is the students come prepared and spend that valuable time by discussing, by clarifying doubts. Number 2, we have, as mentioned by our Honorable Presidential Address in the morning, we are on 62 universities in Uganda and average around 60 students graduates. Now, are we able to give job to all these 60,000 students? I'm sure we may not be able to give job to all of them. So what to do? Here comes the industry-academia relations. What is the requirement of the industry from the graduating students? Is just a degree enough? Everyone goes to university, after 3 years, they pass the exam, they get a degree. Is that enough? We emphasize the skilling and upskilling of the students, where the students are required to perform in various industries. We also send them for the internship. By that, they get the practical knowledge on the field. Like I was discussing with my colleague, every industry needs a specific requirement. And accordingly, we have to train the students as per the industry's requirement. And it is not only the academic subject knowledge. The students has to be groomed in a much better way with a holistic personality development. As some of our speakers spoke in the morning, certain qualities has to be inculcated in the students, like punctuality. As somebody said, the Honorable Minister said, we don't keep time. That has an impact on our international relations. When the international guest comes, they all find it difficult. So we inculcate certain qualities like punctuality, self-discipline. Discipline, it is not when we are watching you do right thing and other time you do wrong things. I insist my students, you inculcate your own discipline. It is for the benefit of students. Integrity, honesty. This all has to be inculcated when a student is going through the university study. It is not only the subject. Their communication skill, their writing skill. Recently we were having a job portal. Any student who completes second year, we give them training to write a CV. We give them training to face an interview. Nowadays, majority of interviews are online interviews. So they have to be skilled and trained to face such things. Then I found students are not even able to write a proper CV. So we give them specific training to them. Then we request all the students to upload their CVs in our portal, and we have a link with all the various corporates in Uganda and in other countries. So it is without any middleman. They seek their CVs, they ask for the online interview, or at times they come to the campus and interview. So this is one way of reducing that gap after the graduation and job employment. Number two, we encourage them for innovations and entrepreneurship. Innovations, so they start their own business, their own ideas. So our internationally experienced faculties guide them at a very young stage, up at the second year onwards. So they don't seek jobs, they create jobs, and they give jobs to their colleagues. That is a principle or the thing we are following in our university. And as far as academic leadership is concerned, I am glad that we have internationally experienced faculties and we all work as a team. And in our university, we don't allow any faculty to go other side for any other job. They are available from morning to evening for my students. And they take care of every needs of the students. For that, it's a teamwork, and I motivate them. I understand the problem of each faculties. Even the students' leadership also, we have very strong guild. So I get a feedback. Accordingly, we modify the situation or the academic planning. So a leader has to understand. Leader need not to be worried about tomorrow. He has to worry about months ahead, next year what is going, what is the expansion, what is the changes going to happen. So this is the qualities we are inculcating in our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The three votes. One is from definitely. I know some could read more about it. I will not very much on that, but the topic of the day is very interesting. We are all aware in the Uganda and elsewhere in the world, we are experiencing a lot of changes in the labor market, mainly due to technological advancement, issues of globalization. Dr. John already highlighted a number of those. And because of this, even the skills demanded in the labor market are changing. You may find that there are some skills which are no longer compatible to the needs of the market today. And for you as a leader, we'll look at from a practical point of view, and we look at it, especially the employment arena. In most cases, we are encouraging what we call critical thinking, innovation, creativity. It's very key. You cannot be a leader in an organization who is not innovative and creative. And definitely, you will not be able to create more job opportunities. And with the digital era which we are in today, there are a number of avenues which have come up, things to do with the cyber security, data analysis. I don't think today you can join any employment and you know how to use computer. And now even these computers, they need to be maintained, to be serviced, and all that is very critical. Even in today's industries, we have so many things digitalized, including the machines, including the vehicles. Someone in the factory, we had manual tractors, where if it gets a mechanical problem, it will go down, jump here, but now they are computerized. You don't touch anything, you need to scan to be able to identify the problem. And that's where we usually get challenges with the academia. You're training someone on the manual vehicle, but the market, we have automated systems. Then how will this skill be relevant to the labor market? So these are all avenues to be able to earn commission if you're outside there. So I wouldn't want to repeat what other colleagues already stated, but from the experience, I think these are some of the skills which are essential for us to be able to become good leaders. I thank you.
I hate panel discussions for two reasons. It's a very lecture style kind of doing things, yeah? Because I'm a trainer, I prefer having interactive, sessions. So I'm going to ask everyone here a question. How many have ever started a business? Small, in your house, in your car, anybody? How many people have successfully failed at that business? My hand is still up, right? So, let me tell you a story. My name is Susan. I work with BNI Uganda. BNI is a network of business owners, and we deal with business owners. So what the network does is to support business owners to grow their businesses through word of mouth marketing. And the word of mouth marketing generates referrals. So a referral comes from knowing your business, experiencing it, and then telling another person about it. So in the network right now in Uganda, we have about 512 business owners in Kampala alone, and it is around the world in 80 countries. We have 328,000 business owners in the world and have generated $24.1 billion in business over the last 12 months. So to answer your question, again, I'll use myself as an example. I'm a lawyer by training. How does a lawyer become a training and launch administrator? Simple. I was in the wrong profession, right? I hated listening to people's problems. Hated it. And I've worked around East Africa. I worked in Uganda, in Kenya, and in Rwanda. And one day, my current boss tells me, come and work with me. She didn't offer me a position. She offered me an opportunity. And in that opportunity, I was allowed to discover what I love to do. I remember when I was 7, I told my dad I wanted to be a teacher. First, he caned me. Second, he told me, you're going to be a lawyer. And that's exactly what happened, right? Because the thought of having a teacher for a child is considered a failure. Am I correct? Because even our education system, for those who ever did the university scholarship and bursary things, if you didn't get the course you desired, where did they take you? Education, right? And yet there is so much power in education. So the first skill that I would recommend is being teachable. Accept to say, I don't know. That's the first skill. The second skill that, again, you'll not find in a book is humility. Be humble. Because it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter which place you belong or you think you belong. There's always something to learn from somebody else. And of course, the third skill, which of course won't be taught again in a school, is find a mentor. For every level that you are in or you're at, look at the person who does it best and ask them to mentor you. I can personally tell you I was not the best in class. If anything, I was quite an average student. But my desire to learn gave me an edge over very many people. As you can see, I'm the only woman on this panel. Secondly, I never looked for work. I was born and raised into a network of business owners. So I always had work. It didn't matter whether I was a waitress and who knows what they do, tents and all that. Who knows the proprietor of photogenics? Who knows him? We know the business. You don't count, Brian. You don't count. You get what I mean? It's a brand. I know the proprietor, Mr. Tom Chigundu. And he has made it his mission to support people in the same business. One business that is in the network is Pretty Events. Pretty Events is a small business that also decided to be in the tents business. And he started with one tent, right? He also came from employment, spent about 2.5 million shillings, bought a small tent that he could hire out to different people for events. That gentleman hired 3 people who could set up that tent, and they were on a part-time basis. Under the mentorship of photogenics of Mr. Tom Chigundu, he taught him key skills, bookkeeping, customer follow-up. And through that, he has managed to grow his business, not only from one tent, but also to have different locations around Kampala. He currently employs 50 casual laborers and has in his disposal more than 100 tents. That's one story I can tell you about. Another story, who knows Paramount Pictures? The guys who took the pictures of that Chabazinga. He took a young photographer, a photographer's assistant, who had joined the network. He borrowed the money to pay the subscription. I want to tell you how interesting that story is, because he didn't. But with the help of the people in the network, they helped him formalize, get a name, register it, but this is because he had a person who showed him how does he run a business? How can he position himself to get the kind of referrals that could earn him the money that he needs? Thank you.
So I think Sandra has made a very good case for
Susan.
Sorry, Susan. I apologize. Susan has made a very good case for networks, joining networks to learn and to benchmark and to get mentorship. So I'll move to Mr. Dan. Dan, can you share with us what are some of the trends that you're observing in the Ugandan job market that are influencing the kinds of skills that employers are looking for?
I think one of the major trends is technological advancement. It has become to be key. It has almost, actually, at times we look at it as either bad side of the word, because it also has its own issues. And it is making every Ugandan, not only Ugandan, but entire Africa, to think twice in terms of how best we can be able to catch up with technology and which skills do we need to ensure that we get there. I remember a few years ago when they made computer comparison, I think in secondary school. This was based on some of this topic, before even COVID came, I think. And one of the questions we were asking ourselves, do we have teachers who could teach computer across all the institutions? But this was because we had realized this technological, and immediately, I think that was 2019, and in 2020, COVID came in, and it meant that it was now a must. We need to have the issues of
that the technology is developing day by day, and it is changing. Revolutionary changes are taking place. Now, in this context, as far as our youth after the A level from the school, when they come to the university, they have to forget that traditional classroom studies. Now, in our university, we ensure everyone have a computer, laptop, or a smartphone. It is only those students who are coming through loan scheme like Karmoja. We had around 70-75 students from Karmoja region. They were not able to get the computer, so we provided them the tablets in the beginning. And we ensure that our faculties are updated in the changing technology. Now, all the programs have to be accredited by the NCHE as per the NCHE rules. And the program lasts for 5 to 7 years as per the latest rules of the NCHE. But we insist, whenever any changes taking place, our faculties are updated and they have a leverage of changing 25% of the curriculum. Though we keep the basic, but all the updated changes and fast technology changes be incorporated in our curriculum, and it is given to students. And it is not a conventional teaching happening in our university. We encourage students to explore. We give them the various links. We give them various tips. And it's not only the classroom studies, they are encouraged to do that exploration. They are encouraged to navigate into all these areas and find out their own solution for various problems. So our thinking is critical way of thinking, that all the latest technology or the advancement is brought to discussions. We carry out even board discussion in the tablets. There is a chat board. So these things are creating modern way of learning. You need not to be necessarily in the classrooms, but still, in every time, and anybody want, even at 9 o'clock, he can chat and he will get a response from my faculties. That is what the commitment of the faculties in this thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, as a student of political science, when I was in university, it was amazing that even when we were studying the foundations and the principles of international relations and political science, we always had current affairs, current changes that are happening globally, included in the exams and the readings that we're doing. So I think it's very important to keep education relevant and current to the times and to the things that are happening. So I'll move on to Francis. Francis, we know that the US government spends about $1 billion in Uganda every year. And this goes to different programs and projects. I want you to speak specifically to your office and education program. What are some of the initiatives or programs that USAID is doing to develop the skills and the abilities of Ugandan students? You know, the recent census shows that Uganda continues to be a very young country. Up to 70% of Ugandans are under the age of 30. Of that, 50% are under the age of 17. 50% are under the age of 17. So what are some of the things that USAID is doing to develop that age group? 17-year-olds are typically not yet even at university.
So have a say on how they shape the perspective of that funding. And we have been able to capture minds of young people on how we shift our programming, and so that we can deliver programming that tailored to the lived experiences of young people, but that speaks to the needs of young people. And young people in the room, you know, YLab is an open space, it's an open platform. These are young people, they meet at the American Center, which is you know, down from the embassy where we sit. And these guys completely, you know, think for the programs that come out to be implemented. Another aspect that I want us to appreciate is we have an education crisis in this country. If we don't take keen interest to the education crisis in this country, we may not have people that are seated in this room in the next few years. In August, there was an activity that US government, USAID funded, called Integrated Children, Youth and Development Activity. It was across this country. It was EYCD. And this activity was trying to look at early grade reading in schools, but also looking at youth in development, mainly around readiness in workforce, skilling youth in soft skills and in hard skills. After the 5 years of that project, the results that came out in the evaluation continue to highlight that Ugandan children cannot read. A child of 10 years cannot read, cannot write. At least 80% of Ugandan children. The crying fact is that the few percentage lives in Kampala and the few districts that are surrounding Kampala. But across other districts and other regions, to ensure that they invest in education, but also meaningful education. And lastly is, we got to realize that universities shape a lot in the education system of this country. They give us the end results. From universities, then we get guys that we shall recruit, and then we come, right? Some of us came from the products of universities. So USAID has started a partnership. It's building a partnership with universities on how best universities can do meaningful research, action-based research that can inform policy, that can inform programming. And you will agree with us, in the development world, which is a bit different from in the entrepreneurship kind of private sector world, we really base on data, we base on facts and information to either fund an intervention or to make a strategic decision. And that's something that is critical. And lastly, is USAID is now much core to deal in conversations with, I'll use an example of Pannel. Private sector engagement is now key in the work we do. We believe that private sector employs majority of Ugandans, and therefore we need private sector in almost all designs and activities that are being implemented. Because with private sector, there comes sustainability. We are able to sustain the gains. Donor funds will always come and will always go, and even priorities shift. So as a priority shift, we are comfortable that there is a private sector that is continuing to move in. And we continue to see Rotary doing that in education, in funding, in numeracy and in literacy in schools. And our pledge is to continue to see chapters like PNI moving aggressively into the development aspect. If you're doing business, then we should also transform that business into supporting community and make sure that we tackle all these other problems. But again, I will not forget things to do with health. Even when we are looking at education, we are very cognizant that we must be able to deal with a health population. So there is a lot of investments in health, mainly in HIV, in malaria.
I've had the opportunity to try and roll out a mobile app in some of the remote areas in this country. Mwendujo, Kanungu, Arua, Jumani Acholi, and some of the things, basic things that you'd expect there, like internet, are not there. As a development partner, is that part of what you are able to provide? Because also when we talk about STEAM, you look at the infrastructure needed for STEAM and it's not available. Recently, I was at a global congress and I saw an idea from in STEAM from Singapore. I saw someone making robots with chopsticks. And my first question and my first instinct was, where in the world would our country even start from? So is there provision for supporting infrastructure as a development partner? Thank you.
All right, Francis,
just that because it's my neighbor, I feel like I can't just leave this unturned. The ISPAT professor, thank you so much. Nice presentation from all the members and from your side. My concern is that we shall sing and sing also till the cows come back home. But I want to ask if you were putting in mind what we call mindset change. What is mindset change? The attitude of us, including myself as Ugandans, the attitude of our current students. I've been lecturing, I'm a lecturer in one of the universities. On that of recent, I felt like I have a lot, I couldn't lecture anymore. But I'm a medical worker, I'm a clinical psychologist, anyway, speaking in that aspect. The attitude of the students, when they come to university, is different from what we expect out of the university. The substance use, drug abuse, and other, related aspects are increasing in universities. As ISPAT University, have we put in a program that when these students come, for example, professor, for you, surely, from the discussion, that's what you want. And trust me, you want to be done like that. But attitude of our students is different from what we expect. So do we have such programs that when the students come, we try to possibly, or can we put something that when they come, we try to section them and just look at what do they want and look at mindset change? How can we really change their minds towards what they want? And if possible, do assessments to what they want to do for the better results.
All right, thank you for those questions. I'll hand over to Francis and then to Professor to respond.
Yes, thank you very much, my brother. One of the key agenda with USAID currently is localization. And in localization is to ensure that local organizations drive development in Uganda. So now majority of the funding to do activities goes direct to local organizations for them to do the work. And one of the activities that has been undertaken is what we call roadshows. So USAID is now moving across regions, informing organizations, universities and partners that this is how USAID works. Because the question is always, how do we secure funding from these guys? So it now trains for how does USAID work? So that people can be able to appreciate, okay, this is the reason why for many times my proposal for fund has not been gone through. Now, through localization, recently this year, USAID got in partnership with the Rock Telecom to extend internet services in rural areas at a site in Yumi. Now that's a commitment, and Rock Telecom is a private entity in Uganda here doing internet business. The issue is to drive digital economy. So that kind of partnership that is available, that USAID has built with Rock Telecom, and they're extending internet to the far ends of this country. It is a conversation that speaks directly to your request and your question. My ask would be that let's associate in our circles with people who understand the investments.
You all are aware of it. But gradually, in fact, I was criticized by my colleagues and the students how they don't know the toilet norms, all that things. And gradually we changed them. And it is very nice to see. Recently our graduate from Karmoja has passed out. The Honorable MP and other officials from Karmoja region came there and appreciated us for transforming that students. We believe by transforming around 70 students, and next year that 70 students should bring another 140, one student, two students to university, so the region can be transformed. Education is the only way to transform society and the region. Now, attitude is concerned, we have to have certain benchmarks, like punctuality. If my class is starting at 9 o'clock, I insist my faculty to be there at least 10 minutes prior to 9 o'clock. If I am there at 8:30, no wonder that no faculty will come late. I have to watch that they come at correct time and they are ready at 9 o'clock for delivery. Not that they come look for parking, there is no parking space. So timing, punctuality, we have to inculcate that standard. Number two, I have seen number of students when they come to the class, they play with the mobile games or whatever it is. So I took a stand. When you are in the classrooms, you listen to the lecture, and after the class you do. We have video games, everything organized in our club rooms. So I insisted the faculty first that you don't use your mobile during the class hours. It is a 1 hour class or 2 hour class. At least you don't use your mobile. Then you have the moral right to insist on the students not to use the class unless there is an emergency. You leave the class and go. That is very rare. So we have to set benchmark. Even the dress code, even the all other social conduct behavior. So then we will bring them to an average standard. There will be difference from the top and bottom, but we can bring everyone to an average standard. Number two, instead of teaching alone, you engage students various other creative activities. Youths are very vibrant, they have got a lot of ideas. If you keep them idle only teaching 2-3 subjects with good marks, so personal attention is secured for such things. So I thank you for a question, and I understand youths are going through this age is very turbulent age. So we have to be very, very careful about their each activities. And if the faculties and lecturers are committed, and if they have the passion to improve that society.
I suggest if you don't, have the annual entrepreneurship competition of your master's degree programs, graduates or bachelor's degree, where they line up their innovation, and perhaps others, business and industry see that value and invest in it. So the students now become entrepreneurs from the get-go. We did this in Abu Dhabi and it worked. So many students, when they promote their products, after 2 years with an MBA, they were able to get invested. 10% went to the college, and the rest of it, student and industry. But the college made money out of this. I have now, I suggest also after-hours activities. Technical high schools and after-hour activities give students the opportunity to use their hands, their skills. Either they can cook, they can do hair, or can do construction, and so forth. Plumbing, electrical, name it. And therefore, that will keep the students motivated, active. They have, Uganda has a great agricultural, site and great forest. So the students do get busy and promote their innovation. But I have also now 2 questions. What are the key performance indicators? How do you measure success per year? Measure quantitatively. Like if you have, let's say for a BNI, for example, it would be a great idea to have the BNI club per university for the College of Business and Finance, for example, or entrepreneurship. So that's question number 2. And then, how do Ugandans learn? Have you spent some time to see how they learn? What motivates them to learn? I mean, we can tell them, you do this, this, and that. But if they don't absorb it, and they have their own style of learning, how do we implement that? So in other words, do we listen to the students of Uganda of how they learn? So these are the 2 questions. Key performance indicators, measurable outcomes. This is where I was, this is where I am, this is where I want to be. And then how do they learn? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your suggestions and the question. Before going to session, I thank you for your session having these Vice Chancellors and Industry quarterly meeting. Of course, I am a member of the Uganda Vice Chancellors Forum Executive, and I request them to have this in there because it is only one Vice Chancellor. All the thing, and National Council of Higher Education also, I bring to your point, but consider it and implement it, definitely. Now, as far as one of our principles is outcome-based learning. Outcome-based learning. When we have a course unit, after the course unit is completed, we ensure the student after learning this should have achieved this much talents or achieved this, that is the outcome. So after every course unit, we have an internal IA system, continuous assessment. Internal assessment system. Then there is a university exam. We give 60% to the university exam and 40% for the continuous assessment. So after every course unit thing, the outcome is measured and tested. That is one way. Number 2, When a graduates, after every graduates, we carry out a trace study of our graduates. Where are they employed? How many of them are got various positions? Like very proudly I can say our almost 95% students are employed either in government, corporate, or NGOs, or majority of them have their own business models. So this trace study,
The knowledge that we may need in the future. So if you want that kind of an opportunity, you could be able to reach out and be able to participate and share knowledge and contribute to human capital development. Thank you very much, and thanks Francis for moderating it well, and thanks very much for Incredible Youth International for organizing this kind of a platform, and let us walk the talk at the end of this.
firstly I thank the organizers and all the audiences and also those who have participated actively. I thank Professor John for all the suggestions and the inputs given by your presentation. I think it was a great, enriching and inspiring presentations. Now, as far as the academia-industry relations, I think in Uganda we have to have more such interactions and collaborations for updating the students and the requirement of the industry in academia. Number two, as somebody brought out in the morning sessions, we have to have the concept change of education. It is not only classroom studies, the student has to be motivated to have critical thinking and analysis. They have to come out with the solutions. Just by reading and answering questions, getting degree, that concept has to be changed. This is my final way to all of you, and I request all of you to motivate for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think it has been a very exciting conversation. From the employer's perspective, I would think we need to pilot the model Dr. John has given us, and get back to Incredible Youth International. That this conversation should not just end here. Let's speak when the university is here, and we exactly go back to the industries. The biggest challenge Uganda is facing is the disconnection between the institutions of learning and the industry, which consume the products they produce. In most cases, courses are developed in the rooms like this without consulting the consumers of the product. It is time to come back to the industry. I like the conversation, and I believe today we have gotten the solutions to be able to develop, to solve the problems we are grasping with, especially in the area of labor productivity, youth unemployment, and skills development. I thank you so much.
You say 1 minute and I will exercise that. The first thing is I would like to encourage anybody who is in a place of employment, first be cognizant of the purpose you serve in that space. Are you positively adding to the space you're in? Secondly, for the leaders here, the business leaders, are you leading horizontally or vertically? When I mean horizontally, are you the kind of boss who tells people to shut up and you're the only person who has an opinion, or do you have the buy-in of your whole team? I come from a network of business owners, so there's so much.
.hicgi newsagency.com HICGI newsagency.com if you want to take a look at the future. So without much further ado, and in respect for everybody's time, I'd like to invite the President of Incredible Youth International, the Chief Convener of this conference, and I'd like to invite James Brian Tuatua to come and give us closing remarks.
Wow. But I need to first come back. I think we've had the best moderator, right? Please let's clap for him. He's done such a tremendous thing. Please, before you go, I just want you to explain a little further who you are, what you do. Because you did a great job, but people didn't understand who you really are. He's a great man to even take the humility to really do the panel discussion. He's supposed to be one of the panelists, but he said, okay, because of time and things, let me just take people through this. But he's a great, great, great person. Please.
Thank you very much, Brian. You're too kind. So, like I shared earlier on, I work with the U.S. Embassy, and I work as the American Spaces Director, leading our American Spaces program. And like I shared, we've got 2 American Spaces, the American Center Kampala at Embassy Plaza, and we run so many programs, panel discussions, workshop trainings on STEM, entrepreneurship, Education USA for those of you that are interested in studying in the United States for bachelor's or master's degrees. So I invite every one of you to check out our social media platforms for US Embassy Kampala on Facebook, US Mission Uganda on Twitter, and learn about the events that we run at the American Center Kampala. And for those of you that have students all around the country in secondary schools, the Nile Explorer bus is our mobile American space that takes skilling and opportunities to secondary school students across the country. So it's been a very big honor to be a part of this groundbreaking in innovation to bring together thinkers to really think about the workforce development issues in our country. So thank you very much, Mr. Brian.
Wow, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has made it today. I know the people that we directed here, but because they're used to the fact that our events usually happen at our center in Mukono, some of them sent me pictures when they have arrived in Kabembe saying, we are at the venue, but there was nothing going on. Yeah, and then secondly, I want to take this opportunity to thank those that also, instead of coming to 4 Points, decided to go to Sheraton Kampala. I have several that once they got there and got frustrated, they couldn't find us, decided to give up. But you made it here, regardless of whatever it took. For those of you that got the place the first time, thank you so much. And before I say goodbye to each one of you, I want to take this opportunity to tell you, there is a saying that is very confusing, but yet if you pay attention, you get it. The opportunity of a lifetime can only be seized within the lifetime of that opportunity. I am the kind of person that gets so much counsel from people who freak out when things don't seem to work out the way they anticipated, to keep asking me to postpone it. But for those of you that have been around me, you know that I just came forward too. But regardless, that didn't stop them from supporting us. We really, really thank you so much for being able to come and tap on our back. To everyone that is here, the last thing that we're going to do is to take a group photo. Yes. And then I also want to assure you that if you registered your name, we are going to give you a certificate in a few days from today. Yeah, everyone that registered and participated in this event will be getting a certificate. 2 certificates, that appreciates your contribution and that appreciates your attendance. Yes, thank you. You are graduates now because of the fact that you went through a 1-day lecture from one of the best teachers of all time, a practical engineer, technician, father, and everything, professor of chemistry. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Where are we taking the picture? Okay, guys, come. Stand up.